Hello and welcome to video 4 for our Honors Pre-Algebra Blended course. Video 4 deals with least common multiple, and even though it doesn't come up until lesson 1-3 in the textbook, it's listed under lesson 1-2 because it goes very well with video 3 that talked about greatest common factor. So least common multiple is found on page 18, 64 through 71, and it'll repeat and spiral through a lot of the lessons throughout the textbook. So one strategy for doing the least common multiple is just to do the problems mentally, and I think you can do that here on the first few problems. So for number 64 on page 18, if I had the fractions 1/6 and 1/8 and I wanted to add those fractions together, I would need to find the common denominator, which is also known as the least common multiple. What is the least common multiple of 6 and 8? If you said 24, you are correct. 24 is the least number, the least multiple that both 6 and 8 are factors of. So 6 times 4 is 24, 1 times 4 is 4. 8 times 3 is 24, 1 times 3 is 3. When I add those together, 4 24ths plus 3 24ths, I get 7 24ths. Now that's not what the question was asking on number 64. It just wants to know what the LCM is of 6 and 8, so the answer is 24. For number 65, you probably can also do that mentally. If I had the fractions 1/5 plus 1/7, I would make new fractions with the denominator of 35 to add them together. 35 is what we will call the common denominator, but in this case also the least common multiple. So 35 is the least common multiple for 5 and 7. For 10 and 12, you can probably do that mentally. What number do 10 and 12 both go into? And there again, I use that go into language when really I'm talking about a multiple of both 10 and 12. Now you might say 120, and that is a common multiple, but it's not the least common multiple. So in fact, the least common multiple is 60. And so if you can't use this method of just eyeballing the numbers and being able to come up with that, I'm going to show you another strategy, and it goes along really nicely with video 3 where I showed you the tower method of finding the greatest common factors. So this is how it looks. I write down 10 and 12, and I still pull out the common factor. So I'm going to pull out 2, and then I get 5 and 6. And 5 and 6 don't have a common factor, but what I'm going to do now, I would say that 2 is the greatest common factor, but to get the least common multiple, I multiply all of these numbers on the side and on the top. 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 times 6 is 60. 60 is the least common multiple of 10 and 12. Let's try that again with 42 and 12. There's 42 and 12, and I'm going to go at this the same way I would for greatest common factor. If I pull out a 2, 2 goes into, sorry, I said it again, 2 is a factor of 42. 2 times 21 is 42, and then 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, 21 and 6 have a common factor of 3. 3 is a factor of 21, 7, and 3 is a factor of 6, 2. So 7 and 2 do not have a common factor beyond 1. So if I was finding the greatest common factor, I would only take those two numbers. 3 times 2, which is 6. So I'm going to put that down here. Greatest common factor is 6. But the least common multiple, I would take not only 2 times 3, but I'd also include that 7 and 2 up top. And if you turn the board, you actually see it in an L shape. So that makes maybe a connection to least common multiple for the L right there. So you take 2 times 3, which is 6, 6 times 7, which is 42, 42 times 2, which is 84. 84 is the least common multiple. 42 is a factor of 84, that's 2 times, and then 12 is a factor of 84, and I believe that is 7 times? Correct. So tower method can be used for greatest common factor and least common multiple, and again, we'll use that method as we encounter these problems in the future.